In this final session, using Uniclass, we'll look at some examples of Uniclass classification being used in the real world, and demonstrating that the scope of its use extends far beyond buildings and places. I'll highlight some articles which demonstrate that Uniclass is the classification of choice for a range of industry organisations for asset management, information management and specification. Uniclass is being applied day to day for infrastructure, buildings and places across the UK and around the world. In fact, its global outlook is one of the reasons it's so popular. It's not a national classification. It can provide complete consistency for global organisations needing to work in any country, classifying items logically no matter where in the world their assets are located. To give you confidence about how many people are using Uniclass, it's used across the world with over 37,000 table downloads per year across 98 countries. And in the recent digital construction survey from NBS, which you can view and download at the NBS.com, one of the key findings in that report is that over 50% of UK projects that have some form of information management or BIM process requirements are now using Uniclass. It's a core component of recommended information management processes to ISO 19650, so I can only see that majority growing in the future. Before every Uniclass update, the team receives lots of new classification suggestions from organisations like Highways England, Transport for London, the Environment Agency, Transport for New South Wales and Austroads, using Uniclass as the structure for their asset management work. So whether in the UK or Australia, Uniclass is proven as a classification solution for infrastructure management. There are great examples and guidance, like these delivery platforms and data-driven infrastructure guides created by Bryden Wood for the Digital Built Britain programme. For an example healthcare asset and a linear infrastructure case study, breaking it down into its component parts using Uniclass. Transport for New South Wales have implemented Uniclass across their entire transport cluster, where previously there were different legacy and bespoke classifications being used. Using the standardised and moderated Uniclass, this removes the cost of maintaining an internal system. It can also be used as the structure for other search and retrieval systems, improving accuracy and efficiency. And recently, this article was published demonstrating several Uniclass case studies, including application by the Environment Agency, responsible for flood and coastal risk management, regulation of water quality and ecology, etc., who have used the detail and granularity of Uniclass to manage the huge amounts of asset information for embankments, locks and drainage, requiring that information is delivered digitally. And Galliford Try, one of the UK's leading construction groups, they're using Uniclass beyond buildings to manage digital requirements for many cross-sector projects, for the structure of design responsibility and information delivery plans, reporting for handover with an increased focus on safety, quality, carbon and data management. And this article on the use of Uniclass for historic assets is available at the NBS.com, showing how with the Palace of Westminster, the classification evolved to find an appropriate existing home for some items like this woolsack ottoman, and to create new codes for other items like bracket clocks. There is consultation ongoing for potential new tables, one of which is for the properties and characteristics of items, describing something by its age, such as a medieval timber beam or a Roman roof tile, or its level of integrity or deterioration due to things like insect damage. One of the core benefits of Uniclass, from a specification perspective, is the ability to think in systems, for system performance and execution, and linkage to relevant products too, along with a more consistent, accurate, and clear separation of technical clauses and the information they contain. NBS Chorus has been designed to support a range of classification structures, but natively supports Uniclass. So let's take a look at the Uniclass content and demonstrate some of those benefits over core structures. In this project, I want perforated wood panelling for acoustic purposes. In core structure content, it's difficult to assign performance to the build-up of the system, and there's no real home for the acoustic performance. Some performance criteria, like fire treatment and moisture content, is embedded in the clause, which means it needs repeating in other clauses, and the quality of the execution is covered in a different section. So because the logic of systems, like a heating system, is applied in Uniclass to any built environment, collection of products working together, NBS Chorus Uniclass content uses system outlines, like a generator for all the content you need. This is actually much more like a checklist than course content. So here we have a description, which can be used with summary schedules to produce outline summaries, and there's a specific place to link clauses about the system's performance, including our acoustic requirements. You can create links to all of the relevant clauses, with the added benefit of giving you the freedom to adapt it to your specific project requirements. The component products that make up the system can be specified, and in those clauses, you can specify product properties like moisture content or appearance class, which can be captured within the product clause and used in multiple systems. Where information needs to be shared, like this timber sourcing sustainability clause, it can be hyperlinked, not just referenced in text, but can be shared between multiple systems too. Equally, Uniclass has benefits for product information in the NBS Source platform too. The categories in NBS Source use Uniclass codes to group like products together and provide opportunity to search easily and browse through similar products. The platform allows you to move up and down the classification and view related classifications. The technical characteristics of those products can all be consistent too, standardized against the NBS Chorus clauses so that different manufacturers can supply their information in a consistent structure, help users filter to find the properties that are important to them, and list specific technical properties that users need, which makes it easy to compare similar products side by side, for example, the compressive strength or durability of these bricks. As I mentioned, the digital construction report showed that over half of BIM projects in the UK now use Uniclass. So let's look at some of the benefits of Uniclass for information management. Uniclass was always developed with digital construction in mind, but that Uniclass has evolved to keep pace with changes in the digital built environment is a sign of its adaptability. The UK National Annex to the ISO 19650 series of standards now specifically references Uniclass for how information containers and their content should be classified, showing that the information is classified by, for example, the PM table, and then the objects within the containers and other tables in the Uniclass hierarchy. One of the reasons for this is that Uniclass is structured in accordance with a classification standard called ISO 12006 Part 2, and that standard is where sets, subsets, and the relationships and some of the standard tables are derived from. Uniclass structure also means that model associations to technical content can be made at a much more specific level, linking individual systems and product clauses to model objects with direct links to view the relevant parts of the specification via NBS plugins. Now part of the Big Factor Group, NBS continue to invest, develop and support Uniclass, as demonstrated by the web tool. You can be confident in the future of Uniclass and that there is support and guidance to help you. Uniclass is owned, managed and moderated by NBS, providing quality and consistency. There's a Uniclass advisory board to suggest potential improvements made up of a cross-section of stakeholder organisations. The advisory board will consider Uniclass in relation to digital construction's evolution and data security for sensitive assets, buildings and infrastructure. There's also a close relationship between the advisory board and the government and industry interoperability group. There's a support forum for features, feedback and ideas, so do suggest topics and discussion about improvements, and ensure you're registered to receive updates for the tables and the latest classifications. All of the tables are freely downloadable for use, but are provided under a Creative Commons No Derivatives license, in part to ensure that the codes are kept consistent. If you need something added, don't make up your own codes, ask the Uniclass moderators, and they'll find a home for your item. With the support of partners, Uniclass mappings to other industry structures can be developed. Some tables include references to the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors NRM1 and Building Engineering Service Association's SFG20 where relevant. And BIMforum.org have also published mappings to Omniclass and Uniformat in their LOD specification. NBS are working on relationships between Uniclass and IFC and the potential for international translations of the classification headings, but the codes will always remain consistent worldwide. Alongside, Uniclass has an API to allow access to Uniclass in your own platform. If you're a software developer who has an application that could use the Uniclass classifications, there's an API that conforms to the REST design principles for retrieval across all the tables. If that's of interest, you can use the registration form to find out more and get documentation authored by our development team. So I hope these videos have given you some helpful insight into Uniclass classification and its possibilities. You can find links to the web tool, support pages, and various articles mentioned in these videos at the nbs.com/Uniclass. Please do get in touch if you're interested in using Uniclass for your asset management needs, to start using it in NBS Chorus or NBS Source, or once you've explored the tables, if you have suggestions for expansion, additional items, or sectors that you have specialist knowledge of. I really appreciate your time. Thanks, and goodbye.